Our next game is Illbleed. It was nominated by @Chunderfins on Twitter.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what it means.
Maybe not as good as Bonus Lizard, but we appreciate your name anyway.
Bonus Lizard is pretty damn good.
I mean, our followers have a lot of great Twitter handles and stuff. It's very
well.
There
was a brief conversation between Crush Gals and Lord of Butt between like what it was like to get demoted from having the best name of the nominees. But anyway, Illbleed. It was developed by Crazy Games and it was published by Crazy Games in Japan and AIA in the United States for the Dreamcast. Another Dreamcast game.
Boy, could they not have a more fitting name though? Crazy Games.
Crazy Games. I just think like it's time to make some crazy games.
Formerly known as Climax Graphics. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Did they go from Crazy Games to sort of being back to Climax? I can't remember if they dissolved after Illbleed, basically. They kind of fell apart, I think.
Well, it was partly because the main person behind the game, I forget his name the moment, died, didn't he?
Not immediately.
Katsuro Sugimori was the director.
Yes, he passed away during the Xbox era, though. So this game, I cut Xerxes off. This game was Japan was released in March 29, 2001, which
yes,
is fairly late in the Dreamcast life cycle of Sega actually supporting the system. I think that's getting on in the short life cycle of the Dreamcast.
For me,
April 16th in the U.S., barely a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't need translating or altering or anything. They just dumped it across. They didn't.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this is a hard game for me to talk about because this does feature the untimely death of one dog's W. Bauer. I don't know what the W stands for. I just came up with that, but it's now canonical because I'm on the internet.
They never really went in whether this was the canonical death of Mr. Bauer. It was just kind of, he's dead.
He could have been faking it. Yeah. Well, this game doesn't really ever explain to you like whether
At
it's
least
real
he'll
or
be
not.
debt-free.
At least it's finally debt-free.
Boy,
in that great bath in the sky.
Boy, is this game, this game is about the cast of characters. I know the main character's name is Eriko. The other characters have names, but you barely acknowledge their existence unless you play as them, which, why would you bother? And they go to the Illbleed horror, sideshow horror theme park to...
Can you say horror a third time?
I'm gonna try, but I really have a messed up accent, so...
I just want to hear it.
Horror.
Oh, I love it. So
all right, and so they go to this theme park to win $1 million because that's not suspicious at all.
Not a million,
this is
100 million.
Sorry, 100 million.
This is a theme park that kills people, and apparently no one really minds or anything.
The entire world that this game is set in barely acknowledges reality. It is like a fevered dream of reality because people die, but maybe they don't. Maybe everyone is wood puppet people. Maybe everything is fake. You have no idea.
The game never really decides whether you're actually in any real danger or not. It doesn't tell you. Like, are you really dying? Are you not really dying? Are these things like...
On the other hand, I would say it does if you want to include exactly one thing, and that's Kevin's brain.
Because Kevin's brain you can take Kevin's brain out, and then Kevin is a moron from that point on.
That's just like, I think it kind of acknowledges it that way.
But, you
not
can't...
directly, but...
I don't think you can get the good ending if you lose Kevin's brain, can you? Because this game has a few endings to it, so...
It's not the true good ending.
The good ending isn't even a good ending for the main character, which is really a very unusual take on a good ending. Because something terrible happens to Eriko if she achieves the good ending, so...
Yeah, that always kind of...
That's Illbleed.
About that.
So yeah, but you can die and then you get resurrected because you can pay money to get resurrected, and then you do come back to life and everything's fine. And it's just odd. So you go through several... Essentially, they're supposed to be rides within the Illbleed theme park, and they're rides in the sense...
They're not rides, they're theaters. Yeah,
they're rides in the sense they're theaters, but there are like... what do you call the... Like the sideshow spooky houses. There's not many in Australia, so I don't know their exact name.
A haunted house or fun house.
Yes, basically that.
What do you call them in Australia? Like boogly doos or?
We just don't have them. We barely have anything Halloween themed, so we don't do much of the horror. And there's basically a lot of...
You scared me.
There's a lot of true blue Aussies
dudes.
who just get really furious about Halloween, because it's like, hey, have some Halloween candy. They're like, that's not Australian, mate. Get out of here. Go back to America. Like, they get really furious about Halloween, so don't even try and follow Halloween in Australia.
Here we celebrate Booglemas.
Australia sounds kind of crappy.
We celebrate Australia Day, which is where we celebrate us kind of removing the Indigenous Australians. Like that is what we celebrate, which is really messed up. But let's move on from that and go back to Illbleed here.
Because are celebrating like the last time we got along with the Indians.
So
kind of it's just as perverse.
Yeah. So what happens in Illbleed is you basically run these attractions or theaters. They're called theaters, but you actually experience them. You go through them, and they're all like little stories. Some of them seem to play out the way they're supposed to. Others, the entire story is actually falling apart as you're playing it, which is really cool. And it's never really acknowledged whether that's actually supposed to happen or not, because you have no idea. So I'm not going to go through I think it's 6, you get 6 stories, and then you get like a final little episode.
The guy who created the theme park, the like Scooby-Doo-esque villain, right, who created the theme, like he was a movie director, right? Like he's kind of like the...
He was a movie director, but I think it's implied he's got a lot of, like, he's kind of a Renaissance man. Like, he did movies, but he does a bunch of other things, and so he made the theme park. And people come there to win money, but they all die, and everything is cool. Everyone's cool with that.
Michael Reynolds, by the way.
Michael Reynolds.
Very odd name. So, yeah.
The final one is his horror museum, so...
Yes. Reminds me of that time I went to Michael Crichton's, like, Climate Change is Fake theme park. It was so weird, you guys.
He has that's a large tangent that I don't...
But so the moment you arrive... Oh, wait, that's right. The way the Illbleed plot works, your friends went there, and Eriko is like, no, I don't want to go there for some reason. Then they all get kidnapped or their brains ripped out and stuff. And so Eriko has to go to Illbleed to rescue her friends. So you go through each level and rescue each of Eriko's friends, Kevin and Jorg and Randy. I don't think Jorg's a friend, but he's there too, which is a great name. Jorg.
He's your friend.
He's not. He's like just a reporter who's investigating Illbleed for some reason. Someone's investigating the theme park that kills hundreds of thousands of people a year. Who would have thought that would be suspicious?
Hey, we should send one of our best guys out on that. What do you think? Now you're crazy. Let's send Jorg.
And Jorg's just kind of like wandering around like, boy, a lot of people are getting murdered in here. This is kind of interesting, isn't it? So yeah, so you go through all these levels and you save them, and once you save them, you can play with them as well. So I'll go through the gameplay a little bit, unless someone else wants to tackle what you actually physically do in this game.
I can speak for if anyone would be okay.
Okay, Bob, you handle the gameplay.
Well, it's kind of a survival horror sort of deal. Doesn't control quite like Resident Evil, for one thing. I think you do a free control, which is nice. Each level, or theater, what you call it, has its own distinct story. I guess it's kind of like a horror anthology kind of thing. So you have like a different goal in each stage, kind of figuring out what's going on and solving the problem there. I do appreciate that. Like, one level, it's about like this, about these wooden puppets who go around attacking people, and you're trying to figure out why that's happening.
Which I'm pretty sure that wooden puppet thing is based on Junji Ito. I think it's just a general homage to everyone's favorite Amigara Fault manga writer.
Really?
Well, if you have a look at the wood puppets, they look very much like the style of art that he created, and his big theme is kind of like bodies getting inserted into things and body horror like that. So I'm pretty sure it's a reference to him.
Every once in a while, I remember
read a
one
lot
of his stories.
of Ito, and I am not aware of any story that directly.
Not directly, but very few of the things in this game are direct.
Actually, there's one.
Okay.
There's one that's a doll that's used to control other people.
Well, because I know he's got someone who
make you do what you
who
want.
gets inside a chair. I think that's one of his stories.
Yes, that is one of them. I can guarantee that.
But like all 6 levels are kind of different horror-ish things, except for one, which is Woody from Toy Story Goes to Hell, which is
Oh yeah, that level's
A really
great.
curveball
It's like-
of a level.
It has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the game in the slightest.
Like, wow, that level is just Woody.
Yeah, you're Cork Inda.
Oh,
You have to travel with Toy Hell to rescue Sexy Doll.
yeah, and she's just called Sexy
From
Doll.
Zodic.
And she is literally a
Zodic the Hell Hog.
Yeah, I love the Sonic reference. He spews rings out when you hit him, and you have to kill his rings to kill him. What a...
You have to kill your owner so you can get buried in his coffin so you can go to hell.
That's the way the game rolls.
Makes sense to me.
I do like the Sonic one because he's like the most terrifying, one of the most terrifying things in the game because he doesn't really speak. I think he just has like this stare and he just makes this like machine rumbling, like shrieking. And it's just like, what did they think of Sega? Like, because they're putting us on a Sega system, just like, and that's like, cool. And Sega was like, neat. We like this. Yeah, and so there's like a slasher. There's a reference to a sort of 50s and 60s like giant monster movies. Because there's a giant earthworm, and it's really cool that all these levels are presented in just kind of like they have cutscenes and that sort of thing, and they are presented in this very odd kind of. They don't feel like real spaces because they're supposed to be, parts of an amusement ride, parts of an amusement park kind of thing. So you can kind of almost feel like everything's just sets and like it's kind of feels very cramped.
And is it real or not? It doesn't make any sense. And that's part of the charm of this game, I think.
It's an incredibly charming game. Like one of the most B-movie games that actually feels, because I think this is one of the few games that I think really hits a B-grade game. Like, not just, like, a game that's trying to be, like, a B-movie. This game feels like a B-grade game as well.
It is by the people who did Blue Stinger, which is near and dear to my heart, and is about as B-movie of a game as you can get.
Because this kind of, like, goes the most meta level, because, like, Blue Stinger is a B-movie game, but it's more of just a game that is actually a B-movie.
Plays it pretty straight, yeah, whereas Illbleed is a little bit tongue-in-cheek.
B-movie is like a B-movie game about B-movies.
Illbleed is the kind of game where I think anytime you want, you can just call down a helicopter to like whisk you away.
Yeah, so the way
Not anytime you want. It shows up sometimes in battle.
The way the fight system works
mash the B button.
Is you get so the gameplay, you get the horror monitor, I think it is. It's the horror monitor, and you get horror vision out of that.
Yeah.
You basically look around areas and you have several bars: hearing, sight, smell. I think you have
and ESP or something.
And
like
ESP
that, right?
is for items. So the idea is you can look around, you can tag a lot of things in the environment, and the idea is you look through your camera and you tag things that you think are going to scare you, because that's where this kind of like horror theme sort of thing comes in. Yeah.
Most of there are fights with like, skinless horse mutant type things like
and rancid eggs.
Yeah, but a lot of it is just like you get scared to death. Like you've got like a fear meter or something, and you can have a heart attack if you get scared.
There's several things that can happen to you.
It's your if your pulse reaches 255 or 0, you'll die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can also bleed to death.
And you can bleed to death, which is one of the few games where that can happen.
Yeah, if you don't have...
kind of cool.
The game has like 6 different healing items or some ridiculous number, so you can raise your pulse, you can lower your pulse, you can get bandages so you're not bleeding, you can get heal items, and you're just chugging these things, all this different stuff. And...
Get Hassy, right?
Yeah, this is the...
You can slam back a couple Hassy.
Again, because from Crazy Games, there are ads for Hassy in the game, and you can drink Hassy in the game. That's really cool. I love that tied-in world feel to further cement that Dog's Power is dead in this game.
I think it does show Dog's Powers truly die. He went to Illbleed. He's like, I think I'm going to go to Illbleed and take a bath. And it was a bath. It was a bloodbath.
But
I see what you did there.
So the game is like that, and the way it rewards you, it's a really very nice system. If you take a picture of something that is actually going to spook you, you get more energy back to take more photos of things to spook you. If you try and mark everything, you run out of spook energy, or whatever it's called. I'm sorry, I don't remember. It's I don't care. The game doesn't care what it's called.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Do you care what it's called? I don't.
I just like listening to you describe it.
But
I agree with that.
so you take so if you just try and beat all the scares by just haphazardly ignoring your monitor, you'll run out of energy and you'll get spooked by everything.
I have a heart attack and die.
Yeah, and
So funny.
So that's what happens. But not all the
There's
traps
one
spook you.
thing-
Some traps will stab you, so you start bleeding, because of course. And there's so many different effects. Some of them are really lazy, like just stuff gets splashed on the screen. But sometimes the monster of the level will come out and wave its like crap at you or just freak you out or something. So in some ways it's a bit silly because you actually remove.
Crash test dump. You keep showing up.
I hate those
Yeah,
guys.
that's you're kind of like removing what's interesting about the game if you're playing it properly.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you dodge a lot of the scares.
A lot of the. They didn't really think that through.
Yes, but yeah. So sometimes you get combat, which there's very little random combat in this game. Sometimes I think some of the levels, I think the puppet level, you get random generated combat, but for the most part, you take photos of things, and even if they're monsters and you take a photo of them, they'll still pop out, and you'll have to run around a little. Very confusing, like a little box gets generated in the level.
Yeah, there's a little area that gets drawn.
So you either have to fight them with a different series of weapons, because this game plays level by level in a very true sense. Each level is reset. You beat the level, and you just get thrown out of the level. So use all your healing items before you leave the level, because they are thrown out from the moment you quit the level. Everything is reset. I don't know if your health is properly reset, though, so be careful with that. But... yeah, and you can escape, as Xerxes tried to say, and Haitlin said,
Helicopter. If you're inside a building, it'll just show up.
Yeah, you just call the helicopter, and then it says, narrow escape, because that makes sense.
That's how you
It's
escape.
the only way you can escape from battle.
Yeah.
You know, I would bet money, and I'm glad I can't, but I would, and say that I think that they had an idea of like there's a narrow escape for each, like tailored to each
right, like, each level or something.
Level, and they're just like, oh crap, we got to get this game on the shelves. Okay, so we'll just do the helicopter animation for everything. All right, we're done.
Are you saying that because you can get it indoors?
Yes, and that's part of the game's charm.
Yeah,
damn it.
I agree.
It continues to be a very, very charming game. It's when you sometimes in the levels it will cut away to like the workers, and the machines will be broken, and they'll be like, god damn, the machine's broken again, just hold on, go and fix it because it's broken. And in the puppet level you get to the end boss, and they're like, the boss isn't working, you'll just have to go around because it's just broken. And it's like, wow, that's a weird,
it's like going to like Disney World, like the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks while you're in the ride, and they're like, look, people, we're going to turn the lights on, and everybody's going to have to exit through that door over there.
Yeah,
there's Denise. Follow Denise. You know, that kind of... I mean, the thing about Illbleed that... Actually, I don't remember what I was going to say about it.
There's a lot to say about Illbleed.
Yeah, well, there's a lot, but it's... I mean, look... Okay, I remember. Okay. So, number one, this is the best Scooby-Doo game that's ever been made. It should have been.
I don't know. The Genesis Adventure game was pretty good.
It is pretty good, but it's also kind of like Haunting, starring Poltergeist, but in reverse, where you're the person who gets scared. If you played Poltergeist, where you're a ghost who haunts various appliances in a house, trying to scare the crap out of the people who live there. This is kind of like
awful
that.
People.
Yes, it's true. They deserve everything they get, and I'm not dissing Poltergeist.
We already kind of dissed it because we ranked that not very high because it has a lot of issues.
But I like saying the name.
Well, you got to say the full name.
Haunting, starring Poltergeist.
There we go.
Yeah. So where do we want to put this Illbleed? Because I mean, it does have Dogsbauer in it, albeit just Dogsbauer's corpse. But you get the impression that Dogs had a great time up until the point he died.
So the thing about Illbleed is I really, really like Illbleed. It's, in terms of Dreamcast games, I genuinely think it's one of the best Dreamcast games. And I don't know how you could fight that, especially...
kind of like the opposite of Shenmue in a way. Like, where Shenmue is like the most boring possible thing you can still call a game, even though it's like fun in a way. But Illbleed is bonkers and it makes no sense, and nothing works the way you think it should. And
I think you're comparing the reality of it more than.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the gameplay. I'm just saying, like, the spirit of the game is the exact opposite. Where
one is trying to recreate reality, and the other one is.
It is a Scooby-Doo episode. Turned into.
It's a Scooby-Doo episode with incredible amounts of violence. There is just blood sprays all over this game. There is so much violence.
I think we all like
game.
Illbleed.
I
like Zoids,
at least all of us who have played
There's a dude named Jorg.
Jorg is exactly what he would say. He would pronounce something Jorg.
Jorg.
I mean, I would really challenge someone to sort of experience Illbleed kind of properly and not find it charming, because it is just such a... Everything about this game comes together. It is, the whole sum of its parts. Illbleed is like, this shouldn't work. There's no way this game should fit together. And then it's like, wow, this works.
It's kind of crazy because crazy games didn't learn a thing from Blue
worth
Stinger.
Playing just to experience it.
Because Blue Stinger was marketed as a survival horror, and it kind of is and kind of isn't. And Illbleed really looks like a survival horror, and it's not.
It is a very interesting take on... I think it's the furthest removed you can be from a survival horror game and still technically fall in the genre.
Kind of, yeah.
Like,
I agree.
There's some... You can... Like, it's interesting. You can get killed in the game, and then you have to play that level again with a different character. If they're dead, you can go back and play a different character to revive them. And so the game has a running money system that you can use to buy things outside of levels, because whatever, that's what they felt they needed to do.
So let's say, like, all right, what I really want to know is above or below Blue Stinger?
Above. Easy. I mean...
Yeah, let's say above.
My God.
I'll agree with it.
This is the culmination of not only crazy games, but just kind of the weird hapstance Dreamcast style that... This is one of the most Dreamcast games around. Like, it's up there with Seaman in terms of just...
It kind of is, isn't it?
Just like, what is this?
I like Blue Stinger and Seaman, and I live all of those weird games.
Yeah, it's such...
I think
Illbleed kind of is a cut above all that stuff, just because it's like, you're never going to get another Illbleed.
No.
I'll show you that.
Nobody will touch this. It was going to get an Xbox port, so it was so close to maybe becoming a franchise proper, because the game has a sequel hook at the end, but...
Oh, no, nobody was ever going to... Yeah. No.
Well, we're never going to
Crazy Games has gone the way of the dog's bower, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, they're just gone. They were butchered, and God bless them, though. I mean, they are Crazy Games. We salute you. Okay, so it goes above Blue Stinger.
It's going up.
But how far above?
This is gonna be tough because it's I think several people here really like this game, like a lot.
3 of us.
Yeah.
At least 3 of us really
it doesn't
like
really
this
matter what I think. So I like the game, but I don't like it better than Blue Stinger. I mean,
well, this game is so like Blue Stinger is a survival horror game that's janked up. This is a whole other thing. Like,
it is a whole other thing. But I'm just saying, like, it's kind of missing that character. A certain.
I don't know. It's got a lot of character to it. It's not the same character, but it's there.
Here's a question. Did Blue Stinger ever have a toy made for it?
Those toys are so rare and expensive.
I think
the Illbleed toy exists.
Yeah, you can get...
Illbleed has a toy.
You can get an Eriko toy.
Does Blue Stinger have a toy?
But if there was any justice in the world, there would be Blue Stinger toys. Like, I would... you realize what I would pay for a dog's bower?
You get like a dog's bower Figma, and you can pose him in many which ways.
He's made to be a toy. You can change his shirt, and he has different abilities. You know?
I would love to see Sega or someone tackle just like... Because Sega like to make toys of their stuff, so I don't know who owns Illbleed at this point.
Sega made like a Smash Brothers with Dog's Bower and bring him back. Just do it.
For my money, it's somewhere around... It's
gotta be below Descent. Like, Descent...
I was pushing it higher, but I don't know.
Okay, well...
That's what I was doing, because the thing is, as someone who I love survival horror games... This is a game that is just so far out of the whole genre, and it is completely unique, and it's a really solid game and experience. Like, the worst you can say about this game is that the combat is not very good, and
which it's not.
Which it's not, but you can escape most of the combat. Like, that's pretty much a core mechanic of the game, is just leaving the combat. But it's... Well, that's what you do. That's
Be a helicopter.
Get the helicopter. It's way more fun to dodge things and get the helicopter. But it's also like, it's got a very fun style and flair to it, which virtually no game matches, in my opinion. Like, just nothing. Even the gameplay itself, the marking things like horror, you know, just ticking things off, trying to actually pay attention to your surroundings, guessing, is that beam gonna scare me? Is that crate? Is it the window? And, you know, every so often you'll make a mistake and it'll be like, whoa, I got scared. Neat. Like, it's the...
Wow, that's cool, yeah.
It's like a jump scare simulator that actually
Eternal
works.
Darkness, yeah, that's the obvious comparison, but Eternal Darkness is like a game. It's like, it's taking itself
I know,
pretty
I'm
seriously.
just saying if we're going... That feeling, though.
Yeah, like...
By the way, you guys, I was at E3 2001 where Dennis Dyack himself, Dennis the Hutt, was there. Demoing that game, yeah. Well, this is before we knew he was a douche, and it was pretty funny. Like, you go into like this little tent, and he would just show you the crazy crap that would happen. In
Eternal Darkness was pretty crazy crap, you know. It probably a little bit took itself a bit too seriously for what it was. It wanted to do both. You know, any game that kind of throws up a, like, oh, your TV broke, and also wants to be taken as, like, a serious Lovecraftian game, it's like, oh, I don't know, guys. I think you've...
Really, though, like, what...
I'm gonna break that one and say Metal Gear.
Yeah, I mean, it gets there, but, like, if Illbleed did some of the crap that Eternal Darkness did, it would really be the ultimate.
But if it did that, they couldn't have a patent on those mechanics. That's why you haven't seen
imagine
it.
if it did the stuff with like the erasing your save and all that, and like, you know, having like the bug on the screen and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really could have gotten a lot crazier.
Comes in places, it comes very close to that, since a lot of the levels mix things up a bit. You know, some levels you lose money, some levels things are a little bit of a twist. Sometimes you control enemies. There's a lot of stuff that this game does. Okay, so
all right, so
I'm sitting this.
I'm the only person who's ever suggested. So I'm done. That was my suggestion. What do you guys think? Ranking.
I'm okay with Below Descent.
I'll work with that.
Well,
yay, and we're done. Doesn't matter what you think.
I know. I don't want people to listen to what I think, because I'm just going to keep pushing it up. I love Illbleed. I'm going to be like, ooh, Illbleed or Final Fantasy VII? Up it goes.
I'm watching Bob.
I don't even like Descent that much, but I know a lot of people who like Descent, and I...
Illbleed, Metroid, Illbleed. I just keep going. But no, like, Illbleed is a game that's probably not for everyone. It's a little too weird for some people's tastes, so I can dig it.
Crazy, and if you like survival horror and you feel like you've seen it all, give it a chance.
Or, you know, there's lots of people that probably have a Dreamcast. If you haven't played Illbleed and you have a Dreamcast, there is something fundamentally wrong with your priorities.
Even if you're not into survival horror, you might like this game, because it has, at the very least, a great sense of humor. It knows it is super dumb, and it loves it.
Well, you can rescue a character and not give him his brain back. There's no game you can do that. And he remains
Brainless.
Yeah, like, for the rest of the game, you can play as this guy when he has no brain. And nobody notices or cares. And I think all of his dialogue from that point on is just like grunts or moans or something. Like, what kind of game is that? It's Illbleed.